Welcome to the Athlete Insights podcast, hosted by Yash Padhye, a podcast focused on letting athletes tell their journeys in their sport. Now on to the episode.
Welcome to another episode of the Athlete Insights podcast. I'm your host, Yash, and today I've got University of Northern Colorado wrestler and national champion, Andrew Alirez. Andrew, thanks for taking the time, man, and thanks for coming on, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Yeah, thank you for having me. Just living the dream, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're the national you're the champ, man. So definitely. And so, but you are the national champion this year, and you've had a lot of success in your storied wrestling career. And so, I kind of want to take it back and allow you to reflect throughout this podcast about your wrestling career overall. And so let's take it back to the beginning. When did you start wrestling? And what kind of drew you to wrestling versus any other sports or activity?
Yeah, so my family has all wrestled. My dad, his cousins, my uncle. Everybody wrestled, and it kind of started with Greeley Central. So they've all went to Central, so it's kind of been like a thing. The Alirez is when we wrestle, we go to Greeley Central, wrestle, do some good things, and then whatever happens after happens. But my early on, my dad kind of made me wrestle, so it wasn't like a choice of mine. I wasn't like, oh, I want to be a wrestler. He kind of planted the dream inside of my head, and he just kept me pushing, even though wrestling's not a sport like most of them. Like I played football, baseball, soccer, like all that stuff, and you go to practice and it's fun. It's a fun sport. You get to play the game. So wrestling was never like that. It was never like, oh, I get to go play wrestling. So like you don't play wrestling. You're in there battling, even as a young kid. So it's just kind of human nature. You don't want that confrontation as a kid. Like just growing up, you want to avoid stuff like that, but you're put in the fire. So my dad kept me in it, kept me pushing. And as I started to get a little older and start to see some success, when I started kind of beating up on other kids and kids that don't wrestle, like being able to beat up really big guys. And so like I started to fall in love with it. And then one thing led to the next, and the dream just continued to be fed, and that little spark became a flame.
For sure. And again, you talk about like how your dad kind of influenced you into wrestling, and kind of how what you did in your youth, and that and no, it's incredible how you started, and now to see where you're at as a national champion. I'm sure your dad's very proud. Your parents are very proud of where you came from and now where you're at as a national champion. And is there any memorable moment that stands out in your youth wrestling career, like pre-high school? Is there anything that stands out to you with your wrestling in regards to your wrestling career?
Yeah, man, there's a bunch of moments, countless moments. I mean, as a kid, like I'm going through, and like a moment, there's some good ones and there's some bad ones. Like I remember growing up, and we go like the time I won my first youth national tournament. It was like crazy. I beat this kid. I developed later, like my body. So I was never like the guy that went out there and was like all big, strong, and some kids, they start maturing really fast. So I remember I beat this kid by 1 point, and it was a real close match. And this kid was huge. He was like top shit when we were kids. And I beat him. And I remember I started crying after I beat him. Like I was just so happy. And like my dad would pick me up and like run, like not run, but like he'd walk around with me while I'm on his shoulder, and like just stuff like that. And then being able to go all over the country as a kid with my friends who also wrestle, and being able to, like, we go through this grind together. And then after we get to, our dads would always let us like go to the pool and stuff, and they'd beat having a good time, celebrating,
Hmm.
eating, drinking, whatever. And
Yeah.
us kids were just in there playing. So like those are vivid memories that that I have as a kid. But they weren't always sweet. I remember going to Tulsa Nationals. It's funny, the place I won nationals at
Yeah.
is the place where the biggest youth tournament in the country is, Tulsa Nationals. So
Okay.
it's kind of full circle how it came to.
Came together. Yeah.
Yeah, I never won Tulsa, so I was never the kid number one in the country as a kid. I always
Mm.
placed, but I was always sixth through fourth. I don't think I
Yeah.
ever did better than fourth, but yeah, I remember there was one time I went out to Tulsa and, I didn't do too hot. I was supposed to do a lot better than I did. And,
Yeah.
my dad let me have it for about, and keep in mind, this is a 12-hour drive. He probably let
Yeah.
me have it for like 10 hours, just sitting
Oh,
there talking shit to me. I'm in there crying in the back. And
yeah.
I remember my stepmom and my dad started arguing because she was like, "We just leave him alone already."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so he was real hard on me, but
Hey, but that made you better, man. And now
yeah.
you went back, like you talk about that full circle moment. You weren't number one at the youth
Hmm.
level, but you are a national champion now, and you are
Yeah, exactly.
number one college wrestler. And so, maybe you could take that as a positive note and be like, hey, you know what?
Oh,
Maybe
100%.
my parents or my dad kind of being hard on me now. That's led to now being, and like you said, it is a full circle moment there.
Yeah,
With
like
him being in Tulsa.
I wouldn't be where I am if he didn't push me the way he pushed me.
Yeah.
As a kid, nobody wants to work hard like that, and
Yeah.
I would have quit like at like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. It
Yeah.
wasn't until middle school where I kind of took ownership of my own career and was like, okay, this is what I
Yeah.
want to do. I'm gonna stop doing all the other sports. I just want to wrestle.
Yeah.
And so without him, none of this would have been possible
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a real tough sport. It's not something you get to go out there and enjoy all the time.
And I can
So
relate with that too, because I played golf. When I first started
yeah,
golf, I used to hate it. Never used to go.
yeah,
And my dad kind of got me into it, and now
um,
I've been playing really good golf as of late. So,
that's awesome.
I can definitely relate to how having a parent, especially dad, there, kind of motivating you and
Oh
supporting you.
yeah,
And you really are a kid, and you really don't really know better.
yeah.
Really,
Go and play video games and
that
hang out
helps
with your
out.
friends.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I still play video games, but not as much.
Yeah,
Not as much. But
yeah. No, I feel you. But
now,
but
kind of
yeah,
transitioning into your high school years, Andrew, you're a 4-time state champion. You won the 2019 Hodge Trophy. You've had all these accolades at the high school level. Talk about your high school experience wrestling and kind of what the difference is between your youth time wrestling versus kind of the type of, or the your high school wrestling experience. Excuse me.
yeah. So the plan my dad always had for me was never to be the best youth wrestler,
Mhm.
because we always focused on being better later. I remember I'd lose to kids who were the best in the country and I'd lose close matches, but they kind of got the best of me. And
Yeah.
my dad would pull me aside and be like, "Hey, you're gonna be better than those guys," just
Yeah.
based off of the technique that they're using. I always won with good, solid technique. I was developing skills that are gonna work on the next level, and that's something that my dad and coaches understood. I was never doing these like kid junk moves. There's a
Mhm.
bunch of little kid moves that you could go be the best kid in the country if you're strong and you learn these little moves
Yeah.
that work when you're a kid. But I was never allowed to wrestle like that. I
Yeah.
would get in trouble if I was trying to win like that. So my dad always prepared me to be better later. And
Yeah.
once I started to mature again, like hit puberty and stuff, then the strength and stuff leveled out, and I became stronger than everybody, faster than everybody, and I was a much better wrestler. So coming
Mhm.
into high school, my freshman year, I was undefeated, beat everybody. I think I'm ranked like anywhere from 18 to 25 in the country. So as a
Yeah.
freshman, I'm doing good,
Yeah.
and but I still wasn't winning the big ones in the country.
Mhm.
Winning my first state title, I wasn't satisfied with it. I wasn't. I like didn't I mean, it was cool because it was a milestone,
Yeah.
but it wasn't what I wanted to do, you know? So I spent
Yeah.
those years kind of like just training and trying to figure things out. Even my sophomore year, uh, one state again, undefeated in Colorado. I took one loss out of the country,
Yeah.
but again, I wasn't winning everything. And it was just with my training, you know, I always trained real hard, but I was kind of getting out muscled by some of the guys. And then my junior year is when I finally like hit puberty for real and I turned into like a man. So then
Yeah.
once that happened, I went from being my sophomore year, the highest I had ever been was like 8. I was 8 in the country through about anywhere from 15 to 8 in that range.
Yeah.
And then boom, my junior year I hit puberty. I started dominating these guys. I'm number one in the country. I'm going wrestling who's number one. I'm the top recruit in the country. I'm beating college All Americans, and then senior year, you know, I was almost just ready to be done. You know, I was
Yeah.
just dominating everybody, and I was by far. I probably could have been ranked number one in the country, 138, 145, and
Yeah.
152. You know, because I wasn't even cutting any weight, and I was beating the best kids in the country. So, coming out of high school, you know, I had a lot of big expectations,
Yeah.
and I'm supposed to go on to do great things, and that's what I had planned. And
Yeah.
my career kind of didn't play out how I thought at the time because I didn't understand. But you know, I got it done at the end, so it was I wouldn't want it any other way. But
Yeah.
yeah, like going in coming out of high school, I was you know, I was feeling like that dude. So
Yeah.
and then got to college and I went through a lot of adversity and then yeah, that's the rest is history.
Yeah. And talk about, you mentioned your recruiting process and kind of you went through your high school process and into college. What's the biggest difference that you saw from the college game to the high school, from the high school game to the college game? Because like I said, I've interviewed individuals from other sports as well, and they say stuff like, well, speed for the game, the speed of the game increased, or
Yeah.
XYZ was harder or easier at the college game versus the high school game. So what did you see the biggest difference wrestling in high school versus the college game?
Well, one is the competition. You know, there's never like there ain't like in high school. Majority of my matches, I walk in there, I pin them in 30 seconds. You
Yeah.
know, it's like not even you don't even have to try or nothing. Like now, the worst guy in the country was probably the best guy in his state. You know, like
Yeah.
everybody's good. If you're a starter in a D1 lineup,
Yeah.
you're probably pretty good. You know, they're not going to go out there and lay down for you. And that's kind of something that it took me a while to understand that. Like I knew I was beating the guys, you know,
Yeah.
like, but I would have like tough matches. Like I was wrestling hard with these guys and I was like, what the hell, man? This is the 40th guy in the country and I'm like beating him 6-3. So you know, just everybody's good and then understanding that the pace is a lot different. You know, it's not even about so much who's the better wrestler. It's about, you know, who's in better shape, who's tougher, who's put in the work, put in the time, and then the discipline that comes with it. So the main thing from a technical standpoint, like wrestling, is pace. You know, they wrestle way harder.
Yeah.
And they're way stingier, nothing easy.
Yeah.
And then from a mental side, it's the discipline. You know, in high school, I was able to kind of fuck around and do whatever I wanted, and you know, they can't beat me. I'm just that much better than them.
Yeah.
And then I come to college, although I'm still better. You know, these guys they're pretty good too. You know, I might be a better wrestler than them, but if what's the good in that? If I go take them down 3 times, they get up right away, 6-3. But now I'm tired. Now he goes bottom 6-4. Now it's a 1 takedown match, and I'm tired. Now I'm in trouble against any. So, and then you stack on all the injuries I've been through on top of that.
Yeah.
You know, my shape and my conditioning just was not there. I couldn't wrestle the way I wanted to wrestle for the first 2.5 years of my career. Of my college career have been like that, you know, and I had to adapt and really eliminate the negativity in my life and the things that are holding me back, and
For sure.
lock in and be very disciplined, when it comes to school, diet, cleaning, eating, training, every rep, recovery. Like it's a 24/7 lifestyle versus high school. I didn't even have to train hard. So it's
And
completely different.
you mentioned the mental side of things, and that's kind of what I want to touch on next is wrestling. You talk about discipline, mental discipline, and the mental side of things, and how much of that, and I can relate to that being a golfer and playing golf, relate to how much of a mental sport that is. And I can see how much of a mental sport wrestling is as well. Very much mentally related. And so how much would you say wrestling is mental versus physical, or how would you relate the two in terms of wrestling?
Honestly, probably like I would say 60% mental.
Okay.
Just because, man, there's just so much that goes on. Like,
Yeah.
you're training your ass off crazy. You're getting hurt. Like put it this way, like, I'll put my finger out of place, and like I don't get to miss a practice for that. You put it back in, you tape it up, you go back in. You like rupture or you like break your rib. A lot of times you don't get to miss practice for that. Like, for you to be actually hurt, you got to be hurt. So like the mental stuff about that is hard. And then having school, balancing training and school and social life and everything like that is always a challenge. And then the main one is going to be at the actual wrestling part, so you're going out there and you're competing against another man, and you're basically seeing who could dominate who could. They say the origin of wrestling was to see who could win in a battle without killing each other. So like that's the origin of wrestling, why they created wrestling. So the anxiety and stuff you feel going into like combat is like something crazy, and if you don't believe in yourself and believe in the techniques and are able to flip that switch, you could be way better than somebody and lose to everybody because you don't have the mental side figured out. And I've seen it cripple. Like, there's a lot of times you hear about a guy being a practice room champion. He's so good in the practice room, he could beat everybody, like bang with anybody, and then he goes out and wrestles under the lights and you just can't put it together. So like being able to balance all of that is extremely hard. And that's why there's only 10, what, it might be 10, I don't know, that's why there's only a handful of NCAA champions every year. So not everybody could do it, and it's a testament to your strength.
And like you said, it's a lifestyle, right? It's not just something you do like just for one season or 1 year. It's a lifestyle that you continuously grow, and kind of what you've done over your 4 years in Greeley is continuously grow. And that's kind of led you to the moment that you had in Tulsa a couple months ago as a national champion. So again, hats off to you on kind of how you've been able to do that and your lifestyle changes that you've made. And now, again, like I said, you're the champ, man. You're the champ. So
hell yeah.
I want to kind of transition now into more of a rapid fire segment. Some of our comments on our YouTube, they want to see a rapid fire segment. So these are just some questions, rapid fire questions, whatever comes to your mind. Andrew, is kind of what I want you to go with there. So I got about 15 or so rapid fire questions, and we'll go ahead and go. So what's your favorite pre-match meal?
So we have to eat what we have to eat. We don't get to pick our meal. So it's a slice of bread with peanut butter on it, sliced bananas, honey, raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. And that's what we have to eat. So we don't get like
you don't get to choose, huh?
You got to feel your body from the weight cut.
I feel you. Favorite wrestling related sports movie?
Oh, that's a tough one, man. There's not a lot to choose from. Not a lot of them are pretty good. But my favorite one is it's called Dangal.
Okay.
Dangal. Yeah, it's with the Fogat sisters, and they're Indian wrestlers.
Okay.
That's honestly, I think that's probably the only good wrestling movie that there
Mm-hmm.
is. That and
Mm-hmm.
maybe Foxcatcher.
Yep.
But yeah, because usually when there's a wrestling movie, like a real wrestling movie, it's pretty corny and cheesy. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I see. Are you an early bird or a night owl, Andrew?
Early bird. When I'm living my life right, definitely early bird. I like to wake up pretty early, around 6 o'clock, and drink my coffee and get my day started.
So you're a coffee guy. That was going to be my next one, coffee or tea. So you're
Oh
a coffee
yeah,
guy.
I love coffee, man.
Yeah.
I drink 2 cups a day every day, and yeah, I'm into, like, I got my own coffee maker that freshly grounds the beans, so you
Okay.
get fresh coffee every morning.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm big coffee guy.
Coffee guy. Okay. Any specific brand of coffee that you like?
No, not really. I'm into everything. I just go by,
Okay.
try out different beans, and
Uh-huh.
and see what I like. I sometimes like to mix them up. But I did recently have a Cuban coffee down in Miami, and man, that was
Okay.
some good stuff.
Okay. Hey, maybe opening up a coffee company or being a coffee
I
entrepreneur in the
know.
future, dude.
Yeah,
So
that might be the plan. Shit.
yeah. I know during training and I know before matches you have to eat a certain regimen or eat certain food. What's your favorite cheat meal on a cheat day? What do you love?
Uh, that's a tough one. It's between. I really love pasta.
Okay.
That's kind of my go-to, and then obviously I love Mexican food.
Yeah.
So either one of those two. I stick to pasta a lot because it feels like more of a cheat meal, and my stepmom used to make really good Italian food. So
Okay.
yeah, probably pasta.
Favorite vacation spot? I know you just got back from Miami, but favorite
Yeah,
vacation spot?
probably Miami. Probably
Miami?
Miami or
Okay.
Vegas.
Okay. What's one thing on your bucket list that's not wrestling related? Just something on your bucket list.
Um, Man, that's a tough one. I would like to go like backpacking, like do a big ass hike. Like there's this lake I want to go to, and it's like a 10-mile hike to get there, and
Okay.
then you got to camp there, and you're able to
Where's it?
fish.
Where's it at?
So it's called Browns Lake. It's
Okay.
I don't know exactly where it's at, but my family have always talked about it, and a couple
Okay.
of them have gone before. And me
Uh-huh.
and my cousins we always say we're gonna do it, but I mean it's been about 5 years and we still haven't done it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, and then what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Ooh. The best piece of advice is probably a quote a lot of my coaches like to say, and I've been stealing it and saying it to my kids club and everything, is
Yeah.
the hard way is the easy way.
Yeah.
Like going through wrestling. So there's a lot of positions in wrestling where the hard way is the easy way. It's hard to run up through somebody, pick up their whole body weight, move
Yeah.
them off the position, get
Yeah.
big and score. It'd be easy to it'd be easy to try to just hang down there, circle around them, grab an ankle.
Yeah.
But that makes it hard because you probably won't end up getting it. If you just did it the hard way,
Yeah.
now you score, right? Now you're on top. And then relating it to life, like you do anything, you got a problem ahead of you or an obstacle or something, you attack it head on, you just
Yeah.
get right through it. And if
Yeah.
you don't push it off, don't do nothing, and you just like go get it, it's going to turn out being easy because you're constantly grinding at it and chipping
Yeah.
it away. So that's something I've taken into my life and kind of adopted.
Oh, I agree. And I've heard something similar. And like, if you work hard now, right, life will be easier later.
Yeah,
Those types of
exactly.
stuff, and those types of quotes. So that kind of completes our rapid fire segment here. But kind of going off of, the last one I just asked you is kind of what advice the best advice that you've received. But kind of part of what I want this podcast to be is kind of bring guests on and kind of help them kind of inspire and motivate the younger generation. And you're doing that with your camps currently. What you've been doing a phenomenal job with that. But what advice would you give to younger wrestlers who are youth wrestlers or in high school now wanting to continue their career and they're looking up to you, seeing you become a national champion, what advice would you give to them to get to that level?
Yeah, I would say it's about discipline. Everything's about discipline. It's not even, well, for one, you got to try to outdo everybody in front of you. You got to try to outdo everybody to your left of you and to the right of you. So just with that hard work, keep working, keep working. You're stacking up your character. You live the right way, and then staying disciplined. Motivation comes and goes. You could be motivated for something for a little bit, but you stay disciplined, you're going to be able to do the things you don't want to do when you got to do it. So, and being able to make those hard decisions and do the things you don't feel like doing, those are the things that's going to take you far in life. That's just developing strong character. I've said it before, character is that trait you could depend on under pressure. That's your fallback blanket is your character. You have strong character when you're met with adversity and obstacles in life. You're going to be able to absorb it and be resilient. Versus if you're not, you're living the wrong way. You're just not living right. Then you're most of the time going to fold to that. Someone with character can be a better wrestler. And that's in anything. That's in fighting. That's in wrestling. That's in life. You could be good at something, but if you got somebody that just does things the right way and is dependable and really disciplined and focused to what they're doing, they're often going to outperform someone who is more talented than them, and that's in sports, that's in life, school, whatever you want to kind of tie it to. Those are traits that you're going to want to have going into your future.
And character, I mean, it's so true. Character is what defines a person. And so a good character, you're going to get good, you're going to build good relationships. You're going to everything, you're going to attract a lot of good in your life with good character. And you have especially done that with all the success that you've had at the youth level, the high school level, now at the college level. And I wish you the best moving forward as you move into your career. And just from me, hey man, thank you for putting Greeley on the map, man. You really did. You put Greeley on the map for us, and so appreciate that and much respect to you, man. So
no doubt, thank you.
But that's all the time we have for this episode of Athlete Insights. I want to thank Andrew Alirez for coming on. You can follow him on Instagram and Twitter at Andrew Alirez 970, I believe. That's your handle. So you can follow him there. Baby. 970. There you go. And then you can follow our podcast and this podcast on our YouTube channel. And again, once again, I want to thank Andrew Alirez for coming on, for taking the time to talk to me and reflect on his career. And once again, another big thank you and big congratulations for what you've done throughout your career overall. But
it ain't over yet. Stay tuned.
No. So you still got a ways to go, man. I know you'll find a lot more success moving forward. So, but until next time.